Hello, and welcome to another delightful game design extravaganza starring me because I'm amazing when I'm designing a game. I'm also trying to eat lunch. It's real tasty. It's curry fried rice with cashews and veggies. It's delicious. Um, Hopefully, for you all, there is stuff appearing. Let me know. Let me know how that's going. If you can see me, just let me know. Excellent. People see. That's good. So, I wanted to start with a quick review of what I came up with last time, and then we'll get into the next step. So last time it was a matter of trying to at least get a starting point for like the archetypes that I want to have for playbooks. So this is the result of that. There was a lot of paring down and eliminating of things. And I'm sure this will change, but I feel like it's a decent starting point. And these are as much like broad kind of categories of design as they are anything else, right? So they might get rebranded. The moves might shuffle around, etc. So in no particular order, we have the Time Traveler. This is like the Chibiusa-esque character. So about having a bizarre asymmetrical relationship to one or more characters because in the past/future, you are related in whatever way. Okay, so some people are not able to see things. Some people can see things. Let me just randomly change the scene a bunch of times and see if that fixes it. I don't know. Do let me know. My OBS looks good. Let me just look at the stream myself. Hold on. Okay. A lot of people are able to see. Maybe try refreshing if you're having difficulties. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep going and hope that it's working. Um, so that's the Time Traveler playbook, the Enigmatic Hero playbook, which is like a tuxedo mask type character, someone who helps from an aloof position, tension between a secret identity and real life friendship, the double life being inverted across the divide. It's kind of the idea with this character. Oh goodness, our Twitch servers being bad today. I'm sure it's to victimize me personally. And so this could mean like, our mundane personas are friends, and then you don't know that I'm a part of your superhero team, but we still work together when we're superheroes. Or it could be the flip, that they're somehow like closer as superheroes, but they don't know who each other are. I mean, I guess both of those are kind of the same thing, right? There's a gap where the characters interact in these two different ways on those two different social strata of the like superhero identity and the regular identity. And then we've got the Unlikely Hero, which is your classic like Sailor Moon or Steven Universe. Like the eponymous characters, the titular characters. Klutzy but lovable, relies on their friends, has power in clutch moments due to those relationships or in ways that relate to those relationships. Shines when the situation is darkest. Lots of failure and hardship and vulnerability. Okay, so there's some weird encoding stuff, and it looks like if you watch it on Source, it's fine. I will look into my streaming settings. Maybe there's some stuff I need to change for next time, but we'll just roll with it for now. All right, next up is the Guardian. This would be your classic, like, straightforward, friendship-oriented, direct, kind of, like, it's the most obvious playbook, I guess, is what I would call this one. But really, it's also, like, big into helping and relating to the other characters in really direct, positive ways. Then we got the Fusion, which is like a Garnet type character who is super queer and all about empathy and being good at relationships because you are one, which can and also can possibly include like fusing with others, all kinds of stuff around the identity, the nature of self, and then like has all this weirdness around like relationship dysfunction. And probably will have, some moves like the Mortal in Monster Hearts. The Stranger, an exploration of emotion, distance, an exercise in understanding, fundamentally lacks empathy but wants to understand. So this is for, the kind of like people who are less good at to represent characters who are less good at being emotionally open and vulnerable, or empathetic with others. And about taking a character through that kind of arc of like discovery and stuff like that. And then the Outsider is the edgelord, the turncoat, the rival. Close to the darkness, suffers and broods, troubled relationship to the other PCs, demands their attention to unlock potential. So, a character who is strong by getting into these like conflicts with the other PCs, but constructive ones, which I think is a really important dynamic in our source material. These are the what's her name from Buffy is like a really classic one, but there are a bunch of others who are suitable. Like I kind of feel like Sailor Mars is kind of this figure for at least a lot of the like early season Sailor Moon stuff that I, assuming I remember it correctly. So there it is. Today, what I want to do is actually make some playbook moves for them. And so I'm just going to start tapping away at that stuff. And would love any suggestions, feedback, comments, criticisms, etc. along the way. So I'm just going to set up a little... Oh, my desk is really hot from the food. I'm just going to set up a little text field over here. And so some of the moves that I really like from Blades, which I was watching, I didn't have enough time to get all the way through it, but I watched John Harper's AMA that he posted. Let's get rid of that. I watched John Harper's AMA that he posted, and it was quite cool. I got through a bit of it, and something that he mentioned, which I also really liked, was a lot of the moves from Blades that are not necessarily mechanical things, but just like things that you can do fictionally. So it's just like Devil's Footsteps is an example of one, right? Where it's like you can do these superhuman feats of physical prowess or whatever, right? Like running faster and all that kind of shit. I'm getting all these messages, but they're appearing conveniently under my webcam, so that's nice. So moves like Devil's Footsteps or Physiker is another good example. And there are some that are like exclusively that, and some that include that and a mechanical benefit. I am hoping to have artwork for this game. I don't know if I'm going to draw it all myself, though, because I can't do anime. I can't draw in that way. It's like really, really precise and is a certain style, and it's just like not how I art. So if I can find someone who's interested in doing art, I mean, the idea would be if I design this game and it's actually good and I want to publish it, then I would do a Kickstarter. One of the Kickstarter goals would be to get art for the game. If we hit that goal, we get it. It'd be like that. So I'm just going to try to think of a move in a given category for each playbook. I think that's going to be an easier way for me to go about doing it. So starting with the Time Traveler. Maybe let's not start with the Time Traveler because I can't think of one, but Enigmatic Hero, Unlikely Hero. I'm just going to plot this all out. The Guardian, the Fusion, L'Étranger, oops, and the Outsider. And what are special things that these playbooks should be able to do? I mean, the Fusion has a really obvious one, right? You can combine yourself with other PCs. I mean, you can fuse. Should just be consistent in our language. Becoming more powerful. I mean, we could do this as one of these moves where it's just yeah, you can fuse with people. And that's just a thing that you can do. It's like a permission almost. We might expect this to have a bunch of mechanical consequences, and maybe it does. Maybe there's another clause. But certainly this is going to be part of it. Because it also suggests that other people can't unless they take this move. And we're going to just ... on that one. Yeah, and what are some kind of equivalent, equivalent in terms of design? What are some equivalent things that we can do with this game? Because this game is all about relationships and stuff and emotions. And so it's less direct than just yeah, you can do superhuman physical feats, because those aren't really relevant, and it's a lot more difficult to describe a superhuman emotional feat. But there is context for this, because another good one is the slide move, looking into a mirror, where you just always know if someone's lying to you. And I kind of want to give one of the playbooks a move where they just always know what people are really feeling or something like that. But I don't know who would best pick it up. So I'm just going to put it in a, who knows, a question mark category. You can always ask a player what their character is really feeling. I think that's a really cool move. I think it's very strong too. Yeah, I think this is actually a neat thing to include, is something like this. Because we don't necessarily have like a read a person move, like a thing that you would roll for. I mean, the stranger is all about like kind of existing in this state where you're like slightly outside of emotion. Like they would almost want to have the complete inversion of this, right? Like you never know what anyone else is feeling. Yeah, in terms of the like outsider as well, like being this kind of rival figure, is there a way to like, I mean, I want to have them have a move that's like about like picking someone as your rival. So again, similar to like the mortal in Monster Hearts of having like a person whom you assign, like you can only ever have one at a time, and then you get special stuff for interacting with them. I mean, the fusion having this move, being able to always ask a player what their character is really feeling, I think could be really appropriate given how we've positioned them as being this kind of like very emotionally wise character. Or the unlikely hero having it would also be really good. And in fact, that I think is where I'm going to put it for now. This seems like a good fit, with fusion being a really good second choice for that move. Yeah, kind of like how the show has someone who like has your leash. Totally the same idea, right? For the rival as having some kind of like, you always have one, or for the outsider rather, always having a rival, and the person who is your rival you would have some special interactions with. That's not going to fit into this particular category of moves. I'm just trying to think of like these kinds of permissions that we can give characters. I like thinking of them in this way of permissions. There's some stuff that's going to be established by the playbook. I mean, like, and some of these moves might be like things that you always start with too, because like the enigmatic hero has a secret identity, right? And that's kind of just like the whole point of their playbook. But we could phrase it as being one of these moves if we wanted to. And it's just one that they always get, so like, but just writing it as a statement in that way I don't think is super helpful. I think again it would be like a more involved move. And the time traveler feels like it's a rich space for something about like being able to make statements about the future selves of people. Anyways, I don't have to spend all my time trying to think of moves like this, but I think they are very interesting conceptually, right? To just say like, here's some more fictional positioning that you can have, or like a type of fictional positioning that you get access to that other characters don't. Yeah, I like this idea of having some kind of like clinical insight for the stranger. And so let me just reread my kind of design goal with them. So an exploration of emotion, distance, an exercise in understanding, fundamentally lacks empathy but wants to understand people, right? So this like not fully human kind of character, right, who is missing something. And it's kind of like, yeah, like has like a robotic kind of vibe to them. I mean, they're definitely going to have a lot of moves about like, or some moves about like shutting out emotion and using that to like protect themselves. Yeah, I mean, I can come back to this. So this is like one category of moves. And I'm just going to look at my Blades in the Dark thing here and look at the playbooks and see what kind of moves people have. Just as in terms of like templating me some stuff. Oh, I need to open a different PDF here. Blades Sheets, version 8. Kaboom. Right, so like let's pull up our example here. We got the slide, right? Like looking into a mirror. You can always tell when someone's lying to you. Boom. There's no rolling, there's no like mechanics to it. It's just purely exists within the fiction layer, right? Just when people are lying to you, you know. What are some other good ones? The leech has some good ones too. Right? Like this part here, like when you invent or craft a creation with alchemical features, like +1 die to your roll, you mean. But this is essentially permission to do that as well, right? Like that you can actually do this. Or sorry, Artificer. No, well, I'm thinking of how they used to be written, actually. Because it used to be that it was just, you can do this thing. You can create things that have these clockwork or sparkcraft features. But I'm stuck in the past. So what are some other good examples of this move? I mean, this one actually is a fictional thing right here. Saboteur. When you wreck, the work is much quieter than it should be, and the damage is hidden from casual inspection. This has no direct mechanical consequence. It's, again, purely within the fiction, right? It's recoloring your use of one of the moves. Pretty cool. We could do a set of moves that's about like stat substitution, like rolling things instead of other things, in a very like Apocalypse World kind of way. But what are some other good kind of templates that we could pull from? So straight up like doing, this is again another one of those. It's pretty similar. Ghost Veil, like it has some mechanics associated with it, which is that you have to take stress to do these things. But then this is all just fictive stuff, right? Like you can be invisible, you can float through the air like a ghost, and you can spend stress to get extra features. But these are all fictional positioning, and fictional positioning is really, really important in Blades because of how the kind of core move of the game works, right? And of course the classic, when there's a question of who acts first, it's you, right? All fictional positioning. And so for our rival moves, we kind of want them to be in this vein of getting like extra die against targets that you have, you know, this like relationship tag with. I could look at my Monster Hearts. Actual physical copy of Monster Hearts. I'm playing Monster Hearts tomorrow. I have to remember to do a little bit of prep. But I'm going to open up the Mortal in here for a little bit of inspiration. The Mortal. So, for example, we have the Mortal move True Love, which I think is going to be our rival move, more or less. Go away, book. I want to type rival move. I just want to write this move explicitly. Yeah, giving the stranger the like special armor for feelings stuff, absolutely. And I think I should. One of these categories is going to be like a special armor category, and we decide what everyone has special armor against. Because that's something I really like about Blades. Is like being able to like more free from a particular type of consequence. I think is really, really strong. So I'm just going to read the True Love move from Monster Hearts by Avery. You always have exactly one lover. The first is chosen during your backstory. If you ever fall in love with someone else instead, give them a string and they become your new lover. You always carry one forward to earn your lover's heart or fancy. So like pretty basic, and it's just about like singling someone out as being important to your character. And so our rival move, right, is going to be you always have exactly one rival. And in the book it's bold. Chosen at wasn't during character creation. But if it ever changes, well, anyways, but it can change. But it can change during play. When it changes, maybe some mechanics. You know, this could be like something to do with the economy of the game, like it costs you a stress, but they gain a link with you or something like that. I can't be as cut and dry as Monster Hearts is, because in Monster Hearts, strings are like a currency that is about power over, whereas mine, it's a currency that helps the players fight, you know, challenges that the GM puts in front of them. So we can't just create this as a... So right now, Mr. Worst, we're working on a rival move. And then, so the thing about the Mortal is that the Mortal has a bunch of other moves that trigger off of your lover, right? So like mess with me, mess with him. When you use your lover's name as a threat, add 2 to your roll to shut someone down, hold steady. Your lover gains a string on you when you do it. And this whole thing of like offering... What's interesting about the Mortal, right, is that it's a lot about like giving power. Like you give these strings to the people who are your lover over you, and there's this like power dynamic that exists between the two of you that is fruitful for the game. In my game, because it's not as like Monster Hearts is very PvP chaos nightmare, where that kind of stuff is great. In my game, it's less fruitful, so we have to find some ways to kind of redirect that energy. But you know, every time you forgive someone for hurting you and excuse their base nature, take a string on them is a more kind of broad, like, in keeping with the whole like emo teen vibe of the Mortal. Excuses are my error. When you ignore some blatant problem with your lover or how they treat you, mark experience, right? So I think we might have a kind of like carrot for XP for encouraging the rival to like be antagonistic towards encouraging the outsider to be antagonistic towards their rival. And then what else do we have that links to lover? I think that's it. Yeah, so the main thing is that you get, let's see, you get XP for ignoring problems with your lover. You get to use their name as a threat, and they gain strings on you. And then anytime anyone becomes your lover, if you ever fall in love with someone else instead, give them a string and they become your new lover. And that the whole lover thing is like an unwilling thing, is very much in keeping with this whole rival thing, right? Like, the person who is the rival of the outsider didn't sign up for that necessarily. I mean, I feel like a rival fusion pairing would be amazing, right? Because it's all about like, oh, we don't get along, I hate you, or I'm never going to fuse with you, and then like one day they do fuse and it's fucking awesome, right? Like, that's the kind of storyline we want to generate. So we decided you're going to have a rival. It can change during play. When it changes, there are some mechanics. Mark XP when you are antagonistic towards your rival, and it costs them or you in some way. So this would be a very like, if we were to write it like this would be a very like the Sprawl personal directive thing of like, put your desire to be better than this person ahead of the success of the group. Right? Yeah, like the fusion between, spoiler alert, the fusion between Pearl and Amethyst, right, is like this super cathartic moment because there's all that tension between them, and then they have to like resolve that, or that in order to do it, and that doing it resolves it. It's kind of all jumbled up together. And then they do it at the critical moment to save someone else, right? Like that they can put their differences aside and work together. That's the big thing that we're chasing. But how do we generate that story? Right? How do we make that fiction happen using a move? What are the things that I need to encourage someone to do in order to be a good rival, right? I'm trying to think of some good examples from the source material. And like, here's some ideas that come to mind. I'm just going to kind of like write a bunch of stuff down here and try to see what is worth actually mechanizing. So like, I just want to write down situations essentially. So like, an opportunity to gain something foiled by your unwillingness to share. To share with your rival. Right, that's a classic one. What else is good? This would be like, and this would cover that whole like Amethyst Garnet situation, right? The thing they have to gain is, by fusing, they're more powerful, they can do this cool stuff, but because one of them is unwilling to share in the power or whatever, right? Like, or to sacrifice. Yeah, so you're unwilling to give something up in order to benefit them plus others. Right, so it's like, I could do this thing that's good for everyone, but everyone includes my rival, and fuck that person. Another one that I like is you can't beat them, I have to beat them, is a great little storyline. Where it's like, you stop the villain not because you like want to do that for its own end. It's like because they're gonna beat your rival and you have to be the one to beat your rival. If you're getting a black screen, I think you have to change to source. I'm having some trouble with my stream today. Yeah, like being able to always know something about your rival. Mag Twisera, I think, is a great one of these like fictional position-y things for the rival. Or sorry, the outsider. You always know where your rival is and what they are up to. Right? Because you're so obsessed with them. Great rival relationship, which I have been able to see now because I'm watching the anime that it's happening in, is in Yuri on Ice. The rivalry between the two Yuris is great. Like, one of them is always watching on social media for shit that the other is doing and getting all upset about it. And then, so, Yurio, right, has the rival move, and his rival is Yuri. And whenever Yuri is doing stuff, Yurio knows about it and is like having all these feelings about it. Yuri is completely oblivious to it, basically, which is great. Uh, Thank you. I'm glad it was an admirable attempt at your name. I'm just gonna call you Mag from now on, and you're just gonna have to deal with that. And so I'm kind of just writing these as like use cases, basically, and then I'll try to design moves that could help deliver this fiction. I mean, having the rival's power act as a ceiling for your power, right? Like, you can only ever be as good as your competition, but you can also always rise to the challenge. Could be an interesting dynamic and way to encourage some of the other stuff that we want to do. And as fuel to grow your power. Being unable to accept a third party having more. So this is the whole like Victor thing, right? Like jealously fighting your rival over the fate/affection/attention of a third party. So yeah, Mr. Horse, the idea would be like if your rival is underperforming, then you also underperform. Not so much the idea that like they're like, it wouldn't be like to keep up with their levels. It would be that, you know, if they are like stymied in some way by the villain or whatever, you can't reach your full potential. This is the kind of thing where like you won't transform and fight the baddie until they transform and fight the baddie. And so if they never do, like if they're all messed up, then it messes you up as well. So you're encouraged. You have like a horse in that race at that point, right? Becoming tone deaf when in proximity to your rival. Where's that from? Who gets tone deaf when they're close to their rival? And I mean, like, what are some classic rival pairings, right? Like, for me, it's like Yurio Yuri from Yuri on Ice. Amethyst and Pearl are totally rivals. And that one being a more mutual rivalry, right? Whereas the Yurio Yuri one is really one-sided. I feel like Sailor Moon, Sailor Mars, with, you know, Mars as the primary, you know, antagonist in the rivalry, and Sailor Moon as being kind of the like hapless victim of it. I'm trying to think of any others that I can think of from my source materials. But anyways, it's like this, is what I'm saying. Yeah, Naruto and Sasuke, cool. I have not seen this show, so I have no way of knowing the significance or the nature of this rivalry. But I'm sure it's a rivalry. Okay, so we've got... Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I'm ruining your eardrums. An opportunity to gain something foiled by your unwillingness to share with your rival. You are unwilling to give something up in order to benefit them plus others. You can't beat them. I have to beat them. Which actually, this is like on the more positive swing of like, you kill the boss because the boss is trying to kill them, and you are the only one who is allowed to do that. Having the rival's power act as a ceiling for your power. So this is like, the stronger you are, the stronger I am. But also like the whole like rise to the challenge thing. If you're not pushing yourself and doing cool shit, then I can't either. I don't get motivated. And then jealously fighting your rival over the fate, affection, attention of a third party. These are all pretty good. Pretty good things to, fictions to strive for. And so what are some ways that we can encourage this kind of stuff? So mark XP when, right? Like this is the most, in a lot of ways, this is the least interesting way to do it. Just be like, yo, you get XP when you do this stuff. And that's it. It's fairly meaningless. Clearing one's stress when doing some of these things could have value as well. And then some of these are going to have like link interactions as well, right? Where you gain links with them. Because of course, because you're like totally obsessed with this person, you have all these links with them. They're just colored in this different way. So like gain links when. So these are some basic ways that we can encourage players to play around this stuff. Which of these ideas feel appropriate for these moves? Like I feel like kind of each of these could be a move almost on their own, right? Not like a subclause of this one. It's like ways that we can color this larger rivalry. So I feel like it's mark XP when you give up an opportunity. Do I even have XP in my game? I mean, I guess I must. Surely I must. When you give up an opportunity because it would also benefit your rival. When you give up or destroy an opportunity because it would also benefit your rival. These two are kind of the same, these first two. This one is definitely going to be about like some explicit fighting power. These two, both, really. And then there's this one. So it could be another like mark XP when you're bickering with them about this. But then there needs to be some kind of like final clause where it clicks in and does the thing. Yeah, I feel like this fighting over other people move needs to involve some like weird three-way link interactions. So something like fighting over this person against your rival nets you XP, CP, that's not a thing in this game. Should you ever achieve said affection, attention, whatever, Um, see, this here's how we can make this work. So whichever of the rival slash outsider gets the attention, fate, whatever, whichever gets their way gets 2 links with the third party. We'll have to figure out some wording for this. That isn't so confusing, because right now it's feeling very confusing. Essentially, you get to have to have this thing that creates a strong relationship. Third party gets one with them. If neither gets it, third party gets 2 with each. Puts them in their places. Rivalry is really complicated. It's like this weird, like, tying 2 characters together, or in this case, like, I could see it extending to making like a triangular relationship, right? Like a love triangle is a classic rivalry situation and has like all this potential for like weird asymmetry in it, right? Like, okay, we both are, or like, I'm obsessed with person, whatever, and you, my rival, they love you, but you don't even realize it, and you don't even know I'm your rival. And there's this whole like, player level battle around this where we're all doing a lot of dramatic irony stuff, and then like we see what becomes of that. That's the kind of stuff I want to encourage in this game. Yeah, I really like an idea for like encouraging, and this is Gypsian saying it, encouraging rash behavior / like fiery emotion around your rival. I don't know if I necessarily want to make this like an XP thing, but this could be like, when you prove yourself the superior of your rival or something like that, like get some benefit. Yeah, like clear 1 stress when you prove yourself superior of your rival. How we arbitrate this and all that kind of stuff we'll get to later. Game links when. So we have this whole idea of like, yeah, this move here, essentially, which is like the love triangle move, I think is a lot of fun. And yeah, that it's like, it contains a little story, essentially, within that. Leo the Gamer Guy, if you switch it to source, you should see things. There is some weird technical difficulty with my stream, but that seems to be solving it for people, and that's enough for me. I don't want to spend all day trying to fix technical problems and then not end up streaming, so... All right, moving on. Gosh, I feel like someone had a really good suggestion in the chat and I totally lost it. And it was like this whole other category of stuff. Oh, and I feel bad. I remember what it was. Special armor. Totally want to do special armor for all the playbooks. Special armor is a nice little mechanic. And there are some of these that are really clear to my mind. You have special armor against any consequence of your rival's actions. Easiest one of my life. Stranger, you have special armor against... So this one I want to have two clauses. One is against like people hurting your feelings. And then the other is, I'm trying to think of like how to articulate this properly. So against like loss, sadness, we can just put like against like emotional trauma. Oh, and it just like slipped my mind. I had this idea, and then I started talking, and it went away. But it's gone. Okay. There was another thing. If I can remember it, I'll come back to it. You have special armor against consequences suffered in the defense of your allies. So anytime you intervene and take harm on someone else's behalf, you have special armor against that. So you can essentially, these are like freebies, right? You can like do this once for free. Yeah, so if you set your resolution to source, it should fix it for anyone having trouble. Yeah, and we haven't really gone into a lot of like phase-specific moves and stuff, but people are suggesting some like special armors in certain phases, and I think that would actually be quite interesting for some of these characters. What would the unlikely hero have special armor against? Maybe she doesn't have any special armor, and that's part of her whole vulnerability angle. Maybe she doesn't get that. Oh my god, get in my mouth, food. It's curry fried rice. It's pretty good. I mean, an obvious one here is like you have special armor against anyone, any consequence that would reveal your secrets. It's kind of like, yeah, you have like special armor to protect your identity as a magical girl or whatever, right? Special weaknesses. It could be an interesting angle. Because, yeah, I like Mag's suggestion of like protecting the Enigma from like the badness coming into their real life, because like the whole idea is that they're the one who actually has like a truly secret identity. And you know, we could use this move to extend that to like the bad stuff doesn't even know that you are, right? Like the darkness is unaware of the fact that you are whoever you are in your mundane life, and it kind of like leaves you be, whereas it really does kind of like bear down and target everyone else. So that's part of like how you keep your cover. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this one I think could work for now, and it could apply in that way, right? Like things that could happen to you in the obligation phase that would reveal that you were involved in any of the magic stuff, right? Like you can have special armor against those. Time Traveler. You are the weirdest. So I imagine the Time Traveler could potentially have a like move similar to the Rivals, where we set like some kind of weird targeted relationship where it's like I am your future whatever. But I don't know if that's actually like very productive, because then I would say in that case we could associate our armor with it. I feel like for the Time Traveler, their like temporal disconnect could shelter them from certain things. It's like you have special armor anytime you could place something off as being like anytime that the whole like you being a person out of time becomes relevant, like it's like emotional damage that relates to like your connection to people in this time, because you're always kind of like at this weird remove. Yes, it definitely does imply that the darkness is in some way like that there's some time related shenanigans going on, right? Like clearly there must be. Okay, I think the unlikely hero gets special armor against physical harm, though you still appear to suffer the harm. Right? This is the whole like, oh, you're all like beat up and then you still just like pull through in the last minute. So like the hero can get beat to crap and look like they're beat to crap, but then still function better than other people. To like 1 degree greater because of this move. This is one way to do it. Another way to do it would be to use the Hound. Totally has this move. Tough as nails. Penalties from harm are 1 level less severe. That would be another way to do it. In fact, I think I like that better. Yeah. We'll think of something else for special armor for this guy. I should be looking at what some special armor things are. That would be helpful. That would really help me come up with these things. Stuff like Battleborn. You can expend special armor to reduce harm from an attack in combat or to push yourself during a fight. Great. Focused. You may expend your special armor to resist a consequence of surprise or mental harm, fear, losing track of someone, or to push yourself for blah. So something he added recently, but which I quite like, is this second clause of, or you can use it to push yourself. So we'll come up with those for everyone else in a second, for every move that we've already made. Fortitude, you may expend your special armor to resist the consequence of fatigue, weakness, or chemical effects, or to push yourself while working with technical skill. Right? So it's like protecting against the kinds of bad stuff that you would expect to happen based on your role, and then also alternatively letting you push yourself to do the things that would be expected of your role. Special armor to resist consequence from detection or security measures, or to push yourself for feats of athletics or stealth. Suspicion or persuasion, and to help you be subterfuge. And then this one, they get a thing to protect a teammate, or to push yourself when you gather information or work on a long-term project. And like, a lot of those moves are pretty obvious, but that's totally okay, right? They should be. They're like directly beneficial. And engage very like immediately with the mechanics. So maybe it's like you have special armor against physical harm. It still happens, but later. So it's like you have this weird like time delay on getting injured for certain types of injury, right? Like all such things, it only kind of applies sometimes. It only applies when it applies. But and then the idea, is that the injury like kicks in later. This is definitely an option. I think that's kind of fun. Fusion. So fusion is all about empathy and being good at relationships. So yeah, you have special armor against consequences that would impact your relationships with others. And this isn't like, oh, if someone dies, it affects my relationship with them. Nah, this is like, oh, they aren't going to like me anymore, or oh, I said something that hurt their feelings. Oh, let's rewind. Omega just set it to source, and it'll stop being black. I don't know what's going on with my stream. I'm gonna have to fix it later. So this isn't to say that you like suffer the harm later, but just that like fictionally the harm kicks in later. But you never really take you don't take the harm because you've already used the armor to stop it. But then in terms of in the fiction, we see later this like signs of this injury come up on you. So maybe I'll reword this like signs of the harm appear later. Okay, and now we need to talk about like the clause that lets us push ourselves. So you can spend it to push yourself in situations where you could have known something would happen. See, but I don't want it necessarily to be that you're only from the future. This could also be you're from the past, which makes that whole notion weird. So I could tie this to the character that you have this asymmetrical relationship with. Because it could totally be like, I come from the past and I am your our asymmetrical relationship is that like I am the protagonist's ancestor, or I'm like the previous heroic incarnation, and we're doing some kind of like every generation has a hero thing, and I'm like the last generation's hero who got sent forward. Yeah, this one I'll have to come back to, but like some kind of push relating to can push yourself. I think I'm just going to write it. It might not be the greatest, but whatever. You can push yourself to help your person, for which I haven't made a term yet. Your time person, your time friend. Time person. Or sorry, well, yeah, let's say to intervene on behalf of your time person. I would also love to give them a move, one of those like appear, the uncanny, like you're just there kind of moves. I think would be fun. Yeah, so all of these like push yourself options are just like a way to get a bonus die, right? You can spend your special armor like slot just to get a bonus die instead of to resist a consequence. So yeah, it's either defensive or proactive, depending on how you want to use it. And I like that John changed the moves to allow for that flexibility, because they used to be just defensive. Which, if things are going well, then it's totally a wasted point that you've spent. So for our enigmatic hero, I mean, these don't all have to be push yourself either, right? Like, it could be like you can spend your special armor to like appear at the right moment, or like we could have that whole uncanny appearance thing be just like a fictional thing that you can get by spending your special armor. That's also really interesting because it means that you're then a little bit more vulnerable than you would have been otherwise. I like it. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. And I think we can give this to the enigmatic hero, because this guy is all about showing up when he's needed. So you can spend your special armor to appear I'm just going to delete this previous one, because this now overlaps too much with this concept here. To mysteriously appear. Yeah. They just get to show. If you're an enigmatic hero, you just show up. But then you don't have your armor. You can't protect your secrets. Gasp. This one, super straightforward. You can also spend it to push yourself. So what would this be? This could be like push yourself to like set them up. To give +1 die to someone else's action. Boom. You can give someone a free die by pushing yourself. You do not need to be physically present to do this. So this is like the idea of you even can help in this like moment of whatever. I like Sweevie's suggestion of like spend it to get some sort of flashback thing. Flashback / forward. Some kind of time scene. Yeah, totally. Like, I'm not sure exactly what that can be quite yet, but I like it. I like the idea of getting some weird fucking time thing. Alright, so next is the fusion and the kind of stuff that the fusion can do by proactively spending this. I'm going to add to this first bit, because I think it's important, with others or within yourself. So this is like, if someone's trying to like split up your however many people you are within you, you can just be like, nah, it doesn't happen. I don't know what about the proactive element for this one. So, and I still can't remember what the other clause of this was, which disappoints me. So you have special consequences against any of your rival's actions. You can spend it to get... Well, so there's no seduce manipulate in my game, unfortunately. So it's not so easy as all that. Yeah, I'm not sure how the whole like fusing with other people thing is gonna work. I haven't gotten into that yet. It's gonna be like the whole core mechanic of the playbook. It's a great big open question for which I do not have a clear answer. It'll probably involve some rolling. It'll probably involve spending some links. I got it. You can spend it to act before your rival does. So it can be like the two of you are trying to do something, and if you have this move, you can just be like, they're like, cool, we're both trying to like get to this thing first, and you're just like, I do it. I get the thing. Kira Darkness, you can totally play as a mom in this. There's nothing stopping you from being a magical mom. There is everything encouraging you to be a magical mom, in fact. Yeah, I really like this one for the rival, where it's just like, yeah, you just get to like act before your rival does. You just get this little narrative edge. But you won't get to do it once a session. Like you have to spend it very intentionally. And yeah, I like this character concept already of the like fusion who is a mom. That would be very cool. What was one that I was thinking about when I was making it for the stranger? I was thinking of one where you're just an adult, and so you like don't get these kids, and that's your whole journey is about like trying to understand them. So there's another option you could do is being the mom who's a stranger, who is like, you know, you're like raising this kid, who is one of the other player characters presumably, but like you just don't really understand them exactly, and you're like trying to understand them, and you have to understand them in order to, you know, save the world and everything. I think the unlikely hero does not get any. Not allowed to have special armor. That's just a rule about the unlikely hero. You're not allowed to be invincible about anything. Okay. I think that's all I kind of have the headspace for today. I haven't had a lot of like off-screen time to think about this and work on it, so I don't have a lot like in the tank today. But we did a bunch of stuff. I got like these 3 different sections, right? This one was very rough, but also that was where we started, and then we kind of picked up some steam. So this whole idea of like fleshing out some rival stuff, all these special armor moves, which I actually am like, I'm quite happy with a lot of these. They seem pretty fun. And I think I've taken the concept from Blades and given it a nice little bit of spin. Like they work a little differently in my game, but they're still, you know, in their essence tied to that. Like I just went for more fictional stuff in the second clauses, as opposed to just like being able to push yourself. So, yeah, I'm stoked about that. I really appreciate everyone coming in and giving feedback and helpful suggestions and just like a sounding board to bounce off of. Gypsian, I am wanting to do a playtest sometime next month. I think I'll be in a good spot to do it. I've been such a mess in the past like month. Like January especially was really rough, so it's been tricky for me to try to like work on this and line stuff up, but I think if I can put in a little bit more time, I could get something like vaguely playable. I just need to be able to get the like basic move stuff buttoned down and then have a few of these like, you know, flavorful playbook moves. And then I might be able to do another playtest. Yeah, so I'll be doing this again next week, potentially, because the schedule has changed next week and we're like doing a game on Wednesday. I'm going to be like at work at a regular job on Thursday, and then I think Friday might actually turn into a belated birthday stream for myself, uh, where I'm just gonna like play games and stuff and have a chill time. Because I have a bunch of games that I want to play, and I'll have the whole day free. So I think I might do that, and it's very close to 2 months following my legit birthday. So well timed. Playtest will be streamed when it happens, and it'll probably be the same crew of Adam, Naja, Terra, and Elf. So like Inspector Beans, Distracted Elf, Trista Ray, and Adam, aka Skinny Ghost, and various other things. Just because I've already badgered them into keeping some time available for me. So, yeah, that's the plan. All right, so keep an eye on my Twitter if you want to know what I'm up to. It's @CommutingCrow on Twitter. And thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll see you later.